welcome everyone. This is a first. It's certainly a Pride first. And it's certainly the first time that we've ever made any attempt to bring the queer communities of the Vineyard and Nantucket together. So I guess it's good to know a couple of things. Number one, that there's no hard feelings based on the football rivalry between the Vineyard and Nantucket. And secondly, that maybe something good comes out of Zoom after all. I know we're all tired of it. My name is Mary Breslauer, and I'll be your MC this evening. We've got a pretty decent program mix for you. We'll be serving up some LGBTQ plus voices from each island. We'll check in live with our Attorney General, Maura Healey. We'll hear from Governor Charlie Baker, and we're going to close out with a very powerful music video. I want to thank our co-hosts, the Martha's Vineyard Museum and the Egan Maritime Museum in Nantucket. Lots of thanks to Jeff Coakley of the Egan Museum, co-publisher of Bay Windows, a longtime Nantucketer and friend, Scott Mullen, who somehow ropes us into all these various Pride happenings on the Vineyard, and Anna Barber, the curator of exhibitions and programs at the Martha's Vineyard Museum. I also want to give a quick shout out and recognize two notable participants on tonight's Zoom. Our openly gay state senator, Julian Cyr. Julian, thank you for popping in and for all the work you do for the Cape and the Islands and for the state on these issues and so many others. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Mary. Thank you for having me.
No, thanks.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Absolutely. And Arthur Hardy Doubleday, the president of the NCAA branch on Martha's Vineyard. I want to thank you, Arthur, for all the work that your organization does on so many important fronts and certainly on ours as well. So Arthur, welcome and thank you very much. Anna, do you want to kick this off and say a few words about the museum?
Yes, hi. Thank you so much, Mary. On behalf of the whole museum, I just wanted to say welcome to all of you. We here at the museum are thrilled and honored to be partnering with our friends over in Nantucket and also to have the esteemed Mary as our MC this evening. We are looking forward to continuing these discussions, not just in June, not just for Pride Month, but all year long. And we're so thrilled to be able to participate in this and hear from all of you. So hopefully for those of you who are on the island to remember that the museum's open. We're open every single day except Monday. Please come in, stop in and see us. We'd love to chat more with you, but again, looking forward to the program this evening, and we're thrilled to be co-hosting this. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Hannah. Really appreciate it. And of course, none of this would be possible without like the technical logistics that Scott and I are incapable of providing. So thank you. Jeff Coakley, my Nantucket friend and of the Egan Maritime Museum, you want to say a few words about your place and the Islanders, the Nantucketers you've brought together?
Sure. Yeah, I'm the Director of Development and Marketing at Egan Maritime Institute. We have a number of educational programs, but I'm really representing our museum, which is called the Shipwreck and Life-Saving Museum. It's really a true island gem. I would encourage you all to someday, if you could find a way, visit it. We preserve and protect the artifacts and stories of some of the famous shipwrecks off the coast of Nantucket, particularly during the 18th century, and some even during the late 19th century, and some during the early 20th century. And we honor and tell the stories of the brave men who risked their own lives to go out and save the lives of others that they didn't even know. It's really a fascinating place to visit. Tonight, you're going to hear from three Nantucketers who have widely different experiences and perspectives. They are Aileen Dasharova, Sean Allen, and Bill Farrell. Aileen and Sean are the organizers of Nantucket Gay Pride, and Bill, with 30 years of tenure on the island, has plenty to share. I think you'll be hearing more from them, I think now, right? You want to take it away, Mary?
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Jeff. Aileen, let's start with you. I know you moved to Nantucket in '85 with it sounds like some children in tow, and that you started coaching. You were encouraging girls to play sports, and that you launched a Gay Straight Alliance at the high school. You know, all of these tremendous contributions. How do you see Nantucket today for LGBTQ plus folks compared to back then, when I guess, a couple of teachers who were closeted and frankly just afraid to come out back then actually reached out to you, not someone in the school, to start the Alliance?
Yes, that's correct. So the Nantucket, as many communities, so this was in the mid to late 80s, had a story. Was there a little bit of a good old boy setup down there? Yes, absolutely. And just I think through my involvements in the schools, through my own children, as well as some of the changes I was making in sports, by coaching, by standing up, by changing the way the teams played. Like typically for sports rec on the island, it would be all the boys would be put on the teams, and then you'd have one or two girls that kind of got divvied up.
Right.
And having been an athlete myself and a coach, I changed it. So I would actually pick all girls pretty much for my team. And it changed the island. It was disturbing to a lot of people. They wondered why I would do this. But because I started to do that, because that message was sent to the island that this is someone here that is not going to do it like we do it, that's why I think these teachers noticed that I didn't follow some of the typical mainstream stories that everyone else was living. Mm-hmm. So yeah, two teachers together came to me and asked me, and they did say, we're afraid that if we come out as gay and lesbian, that we will be fired. But we really think our high school, the students need some help. They need something for them. Would you please do it for us? And it was great. It was good. There was a lot of changes, a lot of pushing that happened. And as Bill Farrell will also speak to, I'm sure, in those times. And so we did have groups of people that I think were respected. I mentioned Kate Mitchell and Island Women Construction. That was lesbian owned and run, and an all women construction company that built beautiful homes. They were mentors to me and to a lot of people, a lot of women, and very strong. And that sent a nice message. I think that on the island now, one of the challenges, and Sean again may speak to this, is that there was a big shift on the island where the older generation and the groups and the dances and the parties that were held not secretly, but not hugely in public necessarily. When Sean's generation and even some older generation came back to the island, there was nothing they could see. They couldn't see it. They didn't know anything was there for them. And I think that the openness and some of the things Sean and I started 4 years ago when we did Gay Pride, when we first started and really started getting out there, we could start to feel people being interested, willing to speak up. Actually, we did pretty well. We posted on the Nantucket year-round page the first year we were doing Pride. We only had one kind of negative attack on why do you need gay pride? Why is this? Why is that? And Sean and I sat down and decided how we would address it. But other than that, we've had a lot of positive responses to what we've been doing on the island. And I think, like in many areas of the country, visually seeing LGBTQ people out in the world, non-binary, a lot more non-binary acceptance. The island has shifted, and I think in a very, very positive way. And we do have out teachers, and as you know, in our school system, we have out of our police department, we have a lot of gay and lesbian men and women, and some trans people who are in positions of, you might say, power or government on our island.
That's great. That's great. Eileen, I just think, forgive me, this is the nature of doing a sort of fast-paced program, but that's a great overview, and I appreciate it. It's a natural segue to Sean, who's the native Islander in the group and someone who identified as gay still in middle school and high school. And Sean, I guess, you know, looking back to those days and your life today, back on the island, your queer life today, how is it today? I think Aileen gave us a good picture of the way it was. So maybe you can talk about the way it is right now from your perspective.
So, you know, then and now, a lot of changes have obviously happened. I went from being a high school student and kind of going on this internal journey that Aileen kind of hinted at with the staff members, but I think that that's a experience many LGBT people and queer people can share, is this having to hide yourself, trying to figure out this confusing process of what it means to be human, but also protect yourself. So I went from that, coming back from college and then moving from jobs and coming into the high school and kind of having that ability to go back and to re-enter that space and see it at a different perspective. I have noticed a change. I feel as though there are a lot more youth that are finding each other, finding community, which isn't to say that that didn't exist when I was a kid. I did find my own little clique of queer friends, and, you know, we would hang out, we would talk about boys, or, oh yeah, she's really cute. Like we would do that sort of thing, but I didn't feel like I was seeing as many people that were like out around me. Now working in the school, as Aileen has touched on, there's also a lot of staff members that are proudly out and outspoken about it. There's a lot of teachers as well that are trying to hold space and make space for LGBTQ students. We've done diversity training this previous year prior to COVID on LGBT terminology, the alphabet soup, if you will. So I've noticed a change for the better. I think it can continue to get increasingly better as we reevaluate our curriculum and make more times for our community to come together to support each other.
That's great, Sean. Thank you very much. Bill, let's go to you. I mean, you're someone who also has made a mark on the island. You founded the Nantucket AIDS Network in 1990. You led
along with a bunch of other people.
Of course. You led the Chamber of Commerce, along with a lot of businesses, I suppose. You started a bunch of local magazines. You've written for all of them. And now you're currently the founding editor of Daybreak Nantucket. I'm just going to really take a little shift here and steal a line that I think a lot of us hear from our mainland friends. And that's two things, Bill. What's there right about in Nantucket? I mean, how much could there possibly be going on? And number two, why would anyone LGBTQ live that far out at sea? And if someone is not muted, can they please mute? Bill, how do you answer those kind of mainland queer questions we get, which is like, why do you live there?
Right. Well, I ended up there because I went with my partner in 1990. And, you know, at the time, the gay male community in particular was really united around the issue of HIV/AIDS. The Nantucket AIDS Network was one of the strongest organizations in the state, thanks to the leadership of Cheryl Bartlett and some other people, and closely aligned with the Provincetown efforts. So for the better half of the 90s, that was really the focus of the gay community. With the sidebar thing also, that what's interesting is that we started an effort to get a domestic partnership passed on Nantucket. That effort started in 1992 or 3 at town meeting. That was when there were only 5 or 6 towns in the state that had one. So it was pretty radical. It was started by, the effort was started by the town moderator, Sarah Alger. And then I kind of stepped into a leadership role in the 2nd and 3rd year. It finally passed at town meeting by 1 vote in 1995. So that was what, 10 years before we had gay marriage in the state. So I guess my point is there has always been a gay culture on Nantucket. for the 365 years of the island. It depends on the time and the temperament of the culture at the moment, where its focus has been and how out it's been. And, as Sean and Elena testified, it's out now. People are out. And I saw that develop through the 90s. There's plenty to write about over there. I mean, it's going to be about $1.5 billion in real estate sales this year.
Yeah.
That gets a lot of attention. Housing is a problem, like it is for you guys, and it is on Cape. I live in Hyannis now, so I'm kind of at the nexus of things. In fact, I'm going to be on the Vineyard tomorrow afternoon for a job. But what else to say? My partner and I, he died in 1996 of AIDS. We used to say, joking, Nantucket is a very muted place. Although there are a lot of gay people having those big parties that Aileen was alluding to, that's where they could be themselves. They weren't really out politically. Politics has been far from the mind of the gay community on Nantucket to a large degree, until recently, maybe. My partner and I used to jokingly say, we should have gone to the Vineyard. And I still feel that way a little bit today, even though I've played a big role in some things on the island.
You certainly did. Well, thank you, Aileen, Bill, and Sean. We could go on, but you guys have been great in giving us lifting up the window a little bit for those of us on the Vineyard to life on Nantucket. So thank you very much. Before we meet our three Vineyarders, we got an immediate yes from Governor Charlie Baker when we asked if he could send us a little Island Pride greeting just for us, and here it is. There's no sound on this, Susanna. What would it be without a technical glitch? I mean, it wouldn't be live.
Hey everybody, this is Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker, and I just wanted to take a minute to congratulate all the folks associated with Pride here on Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket. First of all, it seems to me that those two islands have an opportunity to do something they wouldn't normally be able to do, which is to create a virtual bridge between the two of them as we continue to sort of work our way through the rest of this pandemic. But every once in a while, there's something good that comes out of this virtual world that we've all been living in, and that's the chance to do something like this together, to have Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard together virtually celebrate Pride on behalf of their LGBTQ communities. In some respects, we've made tons of progress in this area, and in other ways, we still have a long way to go. But I think it's critically important that we all take stock of where we are along the way, and organizations and opportunities like this one are a big part of how we do that. So to Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket, I can just say to you all, thanks for building this bridge, even if it's a virtual one, to celebrate Pride at this particular time. And hopefully we'll all have a chance to do this again next year and to do it in person, but probably without the bridge. Congratulations and take care.
Well, thank you, Charlie Baker. I thought that was pretty cool of him to do that. I really did. Of course, the green wall, I wondered if it was St. Patrick's Day, but that's, another point. I want to move on to the Vineyard and get some perspectives of LGBTQ life here from three Islanders, Janelle Godowski, Lydia Fisher, and Ethan Aubrey Taylor. Ethan, I was going to kick it off with Ethan if I could. I want to start off with you. You're a native Islander. You're a recent graduate of our great charter school, and you continue to reach back to support our youth. As a young, non-binary trans guy, has the Vineyard, in your experience, your coming out experience, your work experience, felt like an accepting and safe place to be?
I would say absolutely. I haven't encountered, other than like one or two small isolated interpersonal incidents, I have not had any pushback or like anything negative really, which I'm so grateful for. I think especially being in the school that I was in was really helpful, because charter is just wonderful. The teachers that I had there were great. It was never a question of like, you know, how are we going to accommodate this kid doing whatever he's doing. It was a question of how do we make them happy? How do we make this kid happy? Which was really great. In working, I work at the West Tisbury Library, and I've been working there since before I came out. And they were, again, instantly supportive and incredible. And I'm so, so grateful because I know that it wasn't always like that. And yeah, and I'm really, really happy that I was able to like kickstart something with the Yard as a youth pride event, the True Colors Ball that we did through my school's GSA, that we wanted to have this year. And the kids at school actually wrote a whole letter to, you know, the superintendent and our principal saying, can we please, please have this? And we couldn't this year, sadly, but they wanted to really bad. But
everything's
I'm
going to happen
happy
in
that
2022. That's what it's
oh
all
yeah,
about.
we're going to go all out. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna
there
be
you
here,
go.
and
I mean, now you got some serious planning time. So thank you, Sean.
oh yeah, and we're going to make it the best it's been.
That's great. That's great. We look forward to it. Lydia, you hail from, you know, a well-known and beloved family of fishers, and you've chosen to return home, right, to farming. Lydia now runs the garden farm in West Tisbury. We're lucky to grab her in the middle of, you know, clearly the busiest season of the year. And I know, Lydia, just because it's an interesting contrast too a little bit, that you feel that the island would really benefit from a community center or an established safe place for LGBTQ youth and adults. And I wonder if you could just take a minute and give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. I can only obviously speak from my experience of growing up on the Vineyard, but growing up on an island can be incredibly isolating for all of us. And that can be especially compounded when you're trying to figure out how you present or how you love or whatever that may be. I, in my adolescence, took to the internet, but as we know, that can be an incredibly harmful place for young people, especially if you don't know what you're looking for. I guess in the future, I'd really like there to be a place or multiple places on the Vineyard that can provide resources and support to the community for people personally that are struggling with figuring out their gender identity or sexuality, as well as family members who are also trying to find resources to support their other family members. And I think it's about time. I think there's been a lot of traction in recent years to get specifically Pride underway. And there's been a lot of events, especially this year now coming out of COVID. But I do think that we are lacking that educational space that can provide support.
I get it. Thanks for that. Janelle, what's great about the three of you is, you know, everybody's like an islander born, right? So you're our third vineyarder. You also hail from generations of islanders. Janelle works in emergency management for both Oak Bluffs and West Tisbury. You're a true volunteer. You serve in many, many social justice capacities, including the recent chair of the LGBTQ plus committee of the NAACP branch. And Janelle, I wonder if you could tell us about what you and Arthur and the NAACP feel like you can contribute to the community in this way.
Of course. So our branch is really focused on advocating for social justice and civil rights and really uplifting our community. And we know that it wasn't always safe and welcoming to be out and proud and queer. And it's really important that we go back to that and have these spaces, as many as we can, within our community, that we also welcome and respected. And so to start that, we initiated raising about 24 Progress Pride flags, because we know that our trans and BIPOC community are the most marginalized within our community. And we really wanted to start conversations about transphobia and racism and just more inclusive spaces. And we were just blown away by the support we've received. They're up in schools, town halls, libraries, businesses, and all across the island. And we're really excited to be able to provide that. But that's really just the first step. It really is continuing this all year long and having these candid conversations, really educating our community about how to be an ally, how to be respectful of someone's pronouns or their identity, and really creating these safe spaces and uplifting our youth and our elders that came before us, that are just really the essential piece of how we're able to be here today.
Well, that sounds great. You guys, I want to thank you for the Vineyard Snapshot. And I know in a program such as this, it's nothing more than a short snapshot, but that was really great. So I thank you for sharing your experience and your thoughts, and where you think we should go from here. So thanks very much. I'm waiting to see if our AG is joining us. Let me see. Are we still waiting on Maura? I guess we're still waiting on Maura. I guess I must have told her 5:30, and it's 5:29. So what to do? Lydia, what are you growing? Tell me what you're growing right now. What's popping?
I've got lots of tomatoes in the ground that are ready to be staked and trellised. And other than that, a lot of slower crops, potatoes. Yeah, it's been a really busy year. Took on a farm stand this year. So just grasping.
Where's the farm stand? I hear like it's going to be like a crazy banner year for tomatoes. Now, I know tomatoes aren't specifically LGBTQ plus specific, but most of us do enjoy tomatoes. And I hear it's going to be a banner year.
Let's make them LGBTQ plus.
There you go.
I'm for
there
it.
You go. Yeah.
No, they are my favorite crop. I'm growing over 400 plants this year. And yeah, I'm excited. The farm stand is located, if you're heading to Menemsha, it's Bobby Brown's old stand. It's right on Menemsha Crossroads. You can't miss it if you're taking Middle or South Road. So
I'm on it. I know exactly what you're talking about. So thank you. And
thank you.
We can move on from tomatoes. We're gonna turn now to our marquee guest. We are so pleased and honored to have our Attorney General Maura Healey join us. The first openly gay AG when she was first elected in 2014. Maura had previously led the Civil Rights Division of that office, which led the successful challenge of DOMA. And as AG, she's been tireless on many progressive fronts, including the fight against Trump's sort of endless anti-LGBTQ rules. I want you to know that she's a former 5'4" professional women's basketball point guard, and Maura is always on point. So we welcome Maura. Thank you for joining us. You're in the car? You're on the way
Yeah, I'm on the go today. I'm here just outside of Boston, but in the middle of a few things, but I didn't want to miss this event. It's great you're pulling everybody together, Mary. Happy Pride.
Yeah, happy Pride to you. I mean, there's always so much to talk about with you, but it seems to me like this week's story of NFL defenseman, Viking defenseman Carl Nassib coming out as gay is worth noting, and not just football, although that was pretty significant for a macho sport, the first active player to come out, but also, what Biden has been doing in his administration with Buttigieg in transportation, Rachel Cohen, Assistant Secretary of Health. And, you led the way not that long ago. I think you've got a colleague now in Michigan who's joined you, but how important is representation, do you think?
I think it's super important. And the longer I've been around this, and I've been Attorney General for 7 years. Prior to that, of course, I was in the office and fighting in the courtroom on a lot of equality matters. You can have great people in place with great policies and ideas, but seeing is believing. And I think you have to have representation, in the federal government and state government, in the boardroom, in the corporate room. It's just not good enough to have people who believe in certain policies and support that. You got to have people who actually represent communities, including the LGBTQ plus community. So I think it's super important. And I also just think, looking back, one of the things that means the most to me is when people come up to me and say, hey, just the fact that you were able to get elected Attorney General gives me hope or inspires me, particularly for our young people. And you're right, Dana Nessel joined me a couple of years ago as the second openly LGBTQ plus Attorney General in history. And we just got to work to continue to grow those things. I looked at the comments last night, right, in response to Nassib's coming out, which again, I think is awesome. I think it's absolutely important. And like he said, welcome a day where we don't have to.
We're losing your sound a little bit, Maura.
Sorry. It's like he said last night. Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're great. Thanks.
We welcome a day where you don't have to come out, but that's just not the way it is. It's just not something that is right. So what he did was courageous. It's powerful. And I think coming from football, even more so. And of course, there are the responses with the haters is, well, why do we have to hear about this? Just play football, and that just shows that we still need to do the work because it's because of those attitudes.
Yeah. Those comments
his statement is so important.
You're good. You're getting distant again.
Can you hear me now?
You're still little. Try it again.
All right. Let me see.
Here we
how
go.
This,
Here we
good.
go.
I turned the volume up. Back on Biden, Mary,
Yeah.
when I was lead counsel in the state's challenge to DOMA, working alongside, of course, Mary Bonato, who represented the group of plaintiff couples. We brought that case together, and at the time, we had to sue President Obama and the Obama administration. And it was actually partway through that litigation that the Obama administration went from defending DOMA to coming in on our side of it. One of the things that happened, remember when Joe Biden went on the Today Show or whatever show it was and made that statement? I mean, and it's funny because at the time, a person who I reached out to and looked to file an amicus brief on behalf of the supporting states was Kamala Harris, then the Attorney General of California. So to have Biden and Harris in office, it packs a real punch. And I think it means really good and important things for our community. Already, I've seen the reversal of so many Trump policies that we fought so hard against. And we're gonna continue to see that. So it's the substance, it's also the personnel, as you say. And it's good. Not to say there isn't a lot of work to do. There is, but
yeah. Well, I was gonna get to that. We're all lucky to be in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts was the first in so many areas around our community, from anti-discrimination to, of course, the famous marriage decision in 2004. But Pride's a time for celebrating. There's no question about that. But where do you see the work ahead, Maura? If not in Massachusetts as much, then nationally?
Well, I think the Equality Act. I mean, it is just a shame that we do not yet have a federal law that protects people against discrimination in housing, education, employment, and so forth. We got to see that happen, because Massachusetts is unlike any number of other places that you may travel to or visit or have relatives in. So that's one thing. Getting a national law on the books. I think an area I am really concerned about.
If you can speak up a little bit more.
Okay. Another area that I'm really concerned about is what's happening to our transgender community. And our trans community has been used as a political football, essentially, right? whether it's efforts earlier on to ban transgender persons from serving in the military, or more recently to ban transgender kids from playing sports. I mean, this has just been such a tortured community. And I think in particular, trans women of color, I am horrified at the amount of violence directed at that community. So I think for me, that's where we focus a lot of considerable attention. It's like, what's happening in that space and how are we going to support our transgender, non-binary community members. Another area is seniors, Mary. You know, in those.
I have the white hair. I hope you're looking out for me. Go ahead, keep talking.
You look out for yourself. You're all good. I will tell you that I think it's an issue, though. You know, I think like
Totally.
Aging in the LGBTQ plus community. What does it mean for income, for housing, for access to healthcare? Because, you know, just generationally, some of these folks may not be in a place with supportive family members, right, around them. And so it's something I also keep in mind.
That's great. That's great. And then, you know, we'll let you go, but wanted to ask you, I mean, June, Pride Month, summer coming, any sort of great tradition, fun tradition you look forward to, you know, this time of year?
Well, I certainly look forward normally to the Pride parties, the Pride parade, and Pride parades. Unfortunately, we're just not there right now, but that's okay. We're gathering virtually and we'll find ways to celebrate. And I look forward to getting back out there next year. But, you know, for me, I think that we should take a moment. It's been a hell of a 4 years, I think, for our community. And it continues. That fight continues around efforts to fight against those who want to deny the freedom to vote continues. But we should take pause and find ways to celebrate one another, restore our energy, our faith in one another, and celebrate how far our community has come. And so, you know, for me, whether that's a party or a cookout or hanging out or, you know, dinner with friends, I mean, those are all things that I do. Whatever that is for each of us, let's take the time to do that. And I'm looking forward to having a full summer, continuing. COVID's taken me outdoors more, which has been great. And so I started playing tennis again a little while back.
That's my sport. That's my sport, you know.
You're going to invite me down to the Vineyard. We'll play.
Yeah.
All right. I haven't played since high school, but it's been fun to do that. And I started playing pickup basketball again about 2 months ago. It wrecked my Achilles for a while, but really great to be back out there. So, you know, I'm hoping to have an active summer. My siblings, I turned 50 this year. And my siblings gave me a stand-up paddle, which was a pretty cool gift. So
That's great.
I hope to be out on that. But yeah, and I love this. What is this pink thing behind you? Is that your chair?
Yeah, it's my very ergonomic chair, but you know, it's nice because it's red, so I don't like fall away into the distance. So I didn't, you know, I bought it before Zoom was a thing, but there you have it. It's my desk chair.
Very chic. I'd expect nothing less from you. And on my camera right now, it shows up this like kind of nice pink color, which is a very happy Pride color too. So
there you go. And so does your T-shirt do the same thing. Yep. Hey, we're going to let you go. We thank you, Maura, so much for taking the time. And on behalf of everybody on the call, and I will say the entire queer community on the Vineyard Nantucket, we wish you a happy Pride and a happy June.
Happy Pride to all of you. Thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for supporting, you know, folks like me as we look to run, or even like Pete. I mean, just having people in place, it's awesome. And just you know, let's build on that momentum. And I hope to see you in person soon, Mary, at some point. But
that sounds great.
In the meantime. Okay.
All right. Thanks so much, Maura. All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. She's so great. I'm sorry. I just think Maura is so great. So we thought we would close tonight with a music video that's provided by Joe Solmonese of Chillmark. Joe was the CEO of the viral 2020 Democratic Convention. And Joe, I want to thank you for bringing this to us. And why don't you sort of set this up and tell us what this is?
Thanks, Mary. So as Mary mentioned, last summer, rather than being in Chilmark, I was actually in Milwaukee running the first ever virtual Democratic National Convention. It was at the end of a summer of racial reckoning and in some of the worst days of COVID. And when we made the decision to go to a completely virtual convention, one of the wonderful things that happened is that so many artists reached out and said, I will do anything, provide anything, whatever I can do to really try to help make this convention as impactful and as transformative as it can be. I'm willing to. And one of the first people who reached out to me was Billy Porter, who had what I thought was a wonderful idea, which was to re-record the original Buffalo Springfield song For What It's Worth, which was written by Stephen Stills, who was originally a part of Buffalo Springfield and then became a part of Crosby, Stills and Nash. So Billy recorded this song and made this video for the convention, and then asked Stephen Stills to play guitar in the video with him. And what I think is really wonderful about this video is that the words are as relevant today as they were when it was written. And so he recorded this for us to be played at the end of the first night of the convention. And this came right after Michelle Obama's incredibly powerful remarks on night one.
That's great. All right, let's take a look.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. Think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody
Gosh, Joe, it was so powerful. What an amazing ending to the convention. And if I can say, what an amazing ending for tonight. It's sort of hard to top something like that. I just want to thank everyone who participated tonight. Really appreciate your willingness, your openness, your words, your thoughts, your emotions. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who joined us. And I'm going to sign off, pour myself a beer, and I say happy Pride and good night. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mary.